everyone, Kelly here, and it's been a while since I have done a video. I've been out of town, out of the country for a while. We also have a lot of stuff going on moving. I think last time I talked to you, we just had our house on the market. We now officially are in contract, so we will be moving in just a couple weeks. Like, our closing isn't till mid-July, but our movers are coming July 10th. So that is soon. Things are happening quick. But I wanted to post a summer TBR, the books I'm going to read this summer. And I know we're already like halfway through June. I mean, technically, okay, my cat is getting in the way. Technically, it isn't summer yet, right? I mean, when does summer actually start? It's like the 20-something of June. I don't even know the exact date, but so technically I'm okay that I am just now putting up a summer TBR. Are you just gonna be in the way? But you know, most people kind of do it maybe at the beginning of June. So the way I'm gonna do this is that I'm just gonna base this all around summer book bingo, which is just a bingo board that is put together by Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia. I'll link her channel down below. I'll put a picture of the bingo board here if you want to see it. Basing my summer TBR off this book bingo just because I need like to not think too much right now with all of the moving and everything happening. I don't want to like think about what I'm going to read, and also like, you know, my books will be in boxes. Like, already more than half of my books are in boxes. All I have out is this one bookshelf because, you know, when we were selling the house, I had to like, you know, get rid of some stuff, like not get rid of it, but box up some things to make it look, you know, nicer for the tours and everything. And then, so I just had this one bookshelf with books on it, and I boxed up all my other books. And then now that they're going to be boxing up these, I only have like, I'm just going to have the amount of books that I have for this TBR separate, so that when we are like moving and all that, I don't have to immediately open a bunch of boxes of books. I'm just gonna have like one container that are the books I'm gonna read for the next like 3 months. That's kind of like my plan. So basically when I did this, I only had the books on this shelf to choose from, and I wanted to just choose books I own. There are a couple prompts on this book bingo that involve library books, but I think it's only like 2 out of all of them. There are a couple that I have like on my Kindle or whatever, so I will let you know when those come up. But I wanted to like just have one box of books that I will have access to. So that is what I'm doing. Hopefully my cat will stop messing with things and I can actually talk through these. So I'm just gonna go line by line of the book bingo. I don't know that I'll complete all this. Obviously, to like the way she does this book bingo is you can be entered for prizes for any of the bingos you create, and I probably won't black out the entire board, but I'm just using this as a basis. And now he's like on my paper, so I'm gonna move that over here. Yeah, I think our cat's missed us because he's like constantly around me now. Anyways, so first line, we have the first prompt is coming of age, and for this I picked The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. And I picked this one, it's a coming of age. I've never read this in my adulthood. I know I read this as a child, but I don't remember complete details about the story. And also, Cara from Wild Book Garden is using this book for her Not a Genre book club in July. I'll link that video down below as well. And it's also being hosted by Hana from Ball Gowns and Books, I think it's her blog. She doesn't have a YouTube channel, it's just a blog, but I'll link them both down below. And since they're already doing this for July and it fits this prompt and it was on my shelf, I picked that one for this prompt. The next one is a modern classic, and for this I picked Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. And my definition of a modern classic is that it's taking place after World War II, but that it still has to be at least like, you know, before the 21st century, in my opinion, like, you know, like, you know, at least 20 years ago. And this was written in the 90s, so I'm counting it as a modern classic. I just think that all of Octavia E. Butler's books have become kind of like modern classics in the sci-fi and fantasy genre, so I would really like to start this duology, and it was on my like challenge books for the year that I want to read, so I would like to pick that one up. The next one is Sunset Colors on Cover, and I wanted to read Love, Sugar, Magic, A Dash of Trouble. This is a middle grade fantasy first in a series, and I kind of think of like pinks and yellows and purples and all that as sunset colors, and so this feels very sunset to me in this cover. And I just really would like to start this fantasy series because I just hear a lot of really good things about it. It seems really cute. So that is on the TBR this summer. And then the next one is my most recent purchase. And I did purchase a couple books when I was in Ireland last week. And one of them I'd already started on the plane. So I bought Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent, which is I think it might be called a thriller. It's more like a drama / thriller type of book. And I have made it, how many pages am I in? I'm like 130 pages. That's how much I read on the plane on the way home. It has some very dark content, so I haven't picked it up since I got home because I'm giving myself a little space from the dark content, but I definitely will continue because it's very well written and I'm really enjoying it, but it doesn't, like I didn't look up trigger warnings before picking this up, but it has some very dark content, just warning other people, but really enjoying the writing so far, so I will continue to read that, and that'll be finished sometime in the next month probably. And the last one on this row is a graphic novel or manga, and since I want to go with books I own, I do have a couple out from the library, but I do want to like read this book. It's on my like challenge for the year list, and that is The Best We Could Do by T. Bowie, and this is a graphic memoir. So that was something that I had wanted to read this year, and it's the only graphic thing that I own, and so I figured that would be what I would read for this. Okay, now on to the second row, and the first prompt in that row is a second chance author. And this one, I think Tiffany was describing this as if you've read one book by this author, didn't love it, and you're giving them a second chance. Well, I didn't have very many of these options of things I own, even beyond what I have on this shelf. Of all of the things that I own, I didn't really have a lot of options for this. So I have two things that don't completely fulfill this prompt, but I think are close enough. One is I have The Story of King Arthur and His Knights by Howard Pyle. I had tried to read, I think I still own it. I have The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood by this author, and I couldn't get past the first chapter. I was just like not really into it. The writing was really boring for me. And so I didn't finish that one. And so since I didn't finish it, does it really count as a second chance? I did start reading it and then gave up. So I am giving this author a second chance with this one. And part of why I wanted to pick this one up right now is that one, in the reviews, it said that this one most people liked more than his Robin Hood, and because my daughter and I are studying the Middle Ages this year, and right now we are reading about medieval Britain, and we, in like just the two, like I haven't been reviewing these books because they're like tiny little chapter books, but we're reading like a bunch of King Arthur children's books together, and so I kind of want like a more adult version. I think this is actually a children's book, but since it was written so long ago, I think nowadays children wouldn't really like it. So I'm just counting this as being like the children's version that I am reading as an adult. So this one is definitely a lot longer, so I don't know if I can read this whole thing this summer, but this is one of my options. The other option is Cotillion by Georgette Heyer, and the reason this would be second chance, I've never read anything by Georgette Heyer, but I started this book many months ago. I think it was like last fall. And I made it halfway through the book and then I stopped reading it. And so it's almost like I'm giving a second chance to this book. So I would restart it since it's been, what is that, like 9 months since I quit it, and I would restart it and want to finish it. So it's whether I give a second chance to an author that I DNF'd before or a second chance to a book I DNF'd before. So those are the options for that prompt. The next prompt on that row is a one-word title, and for that one I picked Bettina by Jason Reynolds. This is one of the books I was supposed to read in May, right when my whole reading slump kicked in, and so I'm trying to put some of those books that were on that TBR onto the summer TBR, and this is a second in a series. I really enjoyed the first book in the series called Ghost, and so I would like to pick that one up and continue the series this summer. The next prompt is a nonfiction book, and I just was not inspired by a lot of the nonfiction books that I kept out of boxes. I think I only have like 4 or 5 nonfiction books on this shelf, and a lot of them were like super depressing, and I'm not in the mood to read a super depressing book right now. Like they're like memoirs of people that have had really hard lives, and I just don't think that I'm ready for that right now when I have so much stressful stuff happening. And so the only one I was like, well, maybe I should pick this one up is Love and Logic, Magic for Early Childhood. This is a parenting book. It's short, and you know, my younger daughter is 5 and like definitely has a fiery spirit, so maybe this will be helpful, and I just cannot do depressing nonfiction right at the moment. And then the next 2 prompts on this row are the ones that are going to be my only library books for this TBR. The next one is a summer camp book, and I did not own any books that take place at summer camp, which is surprising because it's something that I enjoy, is to reading books that take place at summer camp. I've read some, like I own some that I've already read, but I don't have any TBR books that take place at summer camp. So I'm going to go to the library. I have a list of a couple books that are options. I'll put up a couple of the options, and then I'm just going to see what my library has currently. I have Tonight Owl from Dogfish, which I think involves like pen pals that are at summer camp. And then there's a book called Long Distance, which I think this is actually a graphic novel that takes place at like astronomy camp or something like that. And then I have Drum Roll Please, which when I heard about it is a great one for Pride Month. So if I can find it now, because I think it involves a main character that is LGBT in some form. So that would be a good one to read right now. And then there was another one called Ruby and Olivia that I saw that's actually a middle grade, like mystery, creepy kind of novel, like maybe a little bit of horror that takes place on a summer camp. And that seems right up my alley, but it also seems more obscure that I don't know if my library would have that. So those are some of the options. I'm going to see what my library has that I can read before I move, because obviously I can't take library books with me. So we'll see what I can get read in the next couple weeks from the library. And then the last one on this row is a library book. And so I'm already reading this one. I just started it a few days ago. I have What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. This is the first book I picked up when I got home from vacation, and I'm zooming through it. I'm like 200 pages in, really enjoying it. It's like an adult thriller. I think this is her first adult book. Like, she mostly writes middle grade and young adult. So this isn't like the most sophisticated adult thriller, but it's reading very quickly, which is what I wanted after vacation, because I basically didn't read anything for the first half this month. So I just wanted to pick up something that I could read really quick, and that's why I picked that one. So that will count for my library book. Now we're moving on to the middle row on the bingo board, and the first prompt in that is a book over 500 pages, which like with the amount I'm reading right now, it's scary to think about reading a 500-page book because I'm just not reading very much. But like I said, I don't have to finish all of these books. As long as I get a bingo or 2, that's really all I am expecting from this. But if I happen to get to this, I would probably pick it up as a audiobook, because I've been reading all of Jane Austen's books this year as an audiobook. But the last one I have to read by Jane Austen is Mansfield Park. This is the longest one, I'm pretty sure, and the one that I'm looking forward to the least, because in terms of the movies, this was like my least favorite movie of all of her books and adaptations. So I'm giving it a fair shot, because maybe I'll like the book better than the movie, probably because her humor will, shine through, and just her writing style. So I will probably pick it up as an audiobook, and maybe this is something I can listen to when we're actually doing the moving, because it's like a 13-hour drive from here to Minnesota. So if I could do that, I have to figure out, I bet I could listen to this with my kids in the car, because they probably would have no concept of what's going on just because of the older language. So I think I could do this with them in the car, because, I can't listen to like a thriller or something while I'm in the car with them, because then it would have stuff that's inappropriate, but they'll be like doing their iPads and stuff in the back seat, and I think I could put on Jane Austen and it would be fine to listen to that with them. And it's like a 13-hour car ride, so I'm assuming a book this size probably has about a 20-hour audiobook, so I would be getting through most of it on that drive. And then next in that row is a book based on mythology, and this is also one of my most recent purchases. I purchased this while I was in Ireland, and that's Ithaca by Claire North. And that one is like obviously based off of Penelope from the Odyssey and kind of her viewpoint of that story. So I am very interested in reading her viewpoint. Next in there is the free space, and we skipped that. We have friend recommendation, and for that is another book that I was supposed to read in May. Cara from Wild Book Garden had picked out my whole TBR for May, but then I hit like a big book reading slump and hardly read any of the books that she had recommended for me. So this is another one that she wanted me to read in May, and I do really want to read it. I just am not reading much at all. So hopefully I will get in the mood to pick up Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, which is a fantasy that's kind of, I think it's like a Regency romance fantasy. And everybody's talking about it, so I do want to pick that up very soon. And the last one that row is a book owned for over 5 years. And for that, I picked Written in the Stars by Aisha Saeed. And this one, like I said, I've owned over 5 years. And I put this on my challenge book list for this year because I just need to read it. I've owned it for this long and I haven't picked it up. If I don't read it soon, then it needs to just go away. And this is like a contemporary young adult novel, but I think it's like a more serious book, and so yeah, I need to pick that up. The next row starts with the prompt to read a novella or a short story, and for that I really want to like finish some of these books I've started, and I have this short story collection from Daphne du Maurier, which I think I started this in the fall maybe. Like I have been technically reading this book for a long time, and I have read the entire collection of short stories except for one. And I wasn't reading them in order, so the story I haven't read is in the middle somewhere. But yeah, I think this has 6 stories in it, and I read the other 5 and then just put it down and never finished the last story. So the story I'm going to read is Monte Verita. Is the only story left in this collection I have to read. I think it's like 60 pages. Just get it done so I can stop having this on my currently reading list when I only have 1 short story left. So that's the short story I'm going to read for that. The next prompt is Outside Your Comfort Zone. And for that is another one that Cara wanted me to read in May, and that's Green Glass House by Kate Milford. And this is a middle grade novel, which normally I read a lot of middle grade, but I do not usually read middle grade mystery. Of all the genres that I read in middle grade, I never gravitate towards middle grade mysteries because I usually just don't find them as interesting as adult mysteries. But Cara recommended this one, and I think that the main character was adopted, and since my kids were adopted, I wanted to like at least try this so it could be something I pass on to my kids, because I think it's good that there's middle grade mysteries out there for kids that are interested in a genre. It's just not my genre usually. So I'm hoping I like this one, but it is outside my comfort zone. The next prompt is a book with 2 E's in the title, and I wasn't sure if this is like, it can have more than 2 E's, but it has to have at least 2, or if it has to have exactly 2 E's. So I had a lot of them that had more than 2 E's, but I was like, I'm just gonna go with exactly 2 E's, just to be safe. And so I picked A Time to Dance, so by Padma Venkatraman. And this one is a novel written in verse, so at least it'll be short and fast. And I think it's about a girl who, so she has always loved dance, but then she gets injured in a bus accident and her legs have to be amputated. So that is, I'm really excited about reading that one. This was also on my list of books I was gonna read this year in 2023. The next prompt is a mystery book, and so for that I picked Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. I've heard good things about this author and his mystery books, and every time I hear about them I want to try it, and I'm like, I gotta try the one that I own before I buy more of his books. So this is the time to pick it up so I know if he's gonna be an author that I want to buy all his books. And then the last one on this row is a book set with a seaside or island setting. And for that, I picked Hazel Bly and the Deep Blue Sea by Ashley Herring Blake. And you can tell by the cover, this must take place seaside. I don't really remember what it's about, but I think that they must be either on vacation or moving to a seaside location. So that'll fit that prompt. All right, and then on to the last row. The first prompt for this is a standalone sci-fi or fantasy book. And for this, I'm doing something that I have on my Kindle. I just bought The Bookshop and the Barbarian, which I don't remember the author's name, so I'll put the cover here. I've just heard a lot of people talking about this, and everybody's kind of comparing it to Legends and Lattes as like a cozy, quick fantasy book. And that's kind of just what I need right now. I did start it, but I'm just in the first like few pages. Like I started it last night on my Kindle and read a little bit before bed. So I'm looking forward to just a quick cozy fantasy. So there's that one. The next prompt is a Buzzy book, and so that's something that's just been talked about a lot right now. And I have the audiobook. I had a advanced copy of it, but I did start it before it came out, but I am not enjoying it, so it's taking me forever to listen to it, and that's Happy Place by Emily Henry. Usually I love her books. This one I'm having the hardest time getting through it. I'm only like halfway through the audiobook, and I've been reading it for weeks because I started it before it even was published, and I think it came out in May, and we're halfway through June, and I'm still only halfway through the book. I've been reading it forever. So I have to finish it because, you know, I asked for an advanced copy of it. I would like to review it officially and just finish it because I'm halfway through. And it is a Buzzy book. A lot of people are talking about it because Emily Henry is really popular. So I will finish it and I will review it. I will tell you right now, it's not going to be one of my favorites from her. All right, and then the next one is a translated work, and for that I'm going to read Out by Natsuo Kurino, which I didn't really have any choice because I think this is the only translated work that I haven't packed away. And it's fine because it's a thriller and I've been owning it for a few years and wanted to try it out. The next prompt is an author that was born in the summer, and basically I just went through and just started like typing in authors and birth dates of what I have on my shelf, and I didn't make it very far. I was only like the third author in and found that Jordan Rivet is born in July. I think it was July. I can't remember. It was definitely a summer birthday when I looked it up, and I think it was July. And so I am going to be reading King of Mist by Jordan Rivet. This is the second in a series, a fantasy series. I have already read this one, but I'm rereading the first couple books in the series to finally finish it because I had read it like many years ago. And I reread the first one a couple months ago and will continue. And author has a summer birthday, so it works for this prompt. And then the very last prompt on the bingo board is a book that inspired a movie. And I'm going to pick for that a book that I'm already reading. My best friend and I are reading through all of the Lord of the Rings, and we started the Two Towers. We started it like basically right before I left on vacation, but because I wasn't reading on vacation, I didn't really pick it up until I got home last week. And so we are on the second book, The Two Towers. And I think right now I'm already, well, I'm even farther than that. I haven't like changed my bookmark. So I am, it's hard to tell because these are like, this edition I have doesn't start the second book on page 1 because it's just like treating it as one whole book, which is kind of what it is. But I'm here in the book. So that is my last prompt. That will definitely get finished in the next few weeks as my best friend and I read it together. So those are the books that I will keep out and not pack. And so that's all I'm going to have available to me. I mean, obviously I'll have access to a library, like audiobooks and digital books if I really want it, but it'd be fun to just kind of like focus on reading this one box of books that I take with me for the whole summer. And hopefully I can get a few bingos in for Tiffany's giveaway. If you want to learn how you can win her giveaway for the summer book bingo, I'll make sure to link that down below. And that's it for me now. I will see you next time. Bye.